It's time to look at dog culture and consider if dog culture is like Marxism, socialism, communism. So today we're going to look at something from Marxist ideology. Marxists aimed to weaken the traditional family structure. As we read here in the blue highlight, so does dog culture weaken the traditional family structure? Now I know a lot of people are going to say, well, dude, you said that America has the most dogs, so America is capitalism, so then America can't support dog culture and be communism or Marxism at the same time. They're going to try to make that comparison. But remember, during the times of Mao Zedong and during the times of Karl Marx, we didn't have dog worship. The things in societies that were valued, that those regimes used to take over their society, it was not dogs, it was other things. But we just happen to have lots of dogs in our society right now, a lot of dog worshippers. So it only makes sense that Marxism and communism, if there is that type of force going after America, it only makes sense that they would use dogs. Just because they didn't use dogs in the past, it doesn't mean anything. But I just wanted to mention that because that's a common retort that I get when I talk about this in the USA, basically because the USA is full of dogs more than any other nation on the planet. So, on that note, let's look up this little thing right here. Socialist regimes often framed duties and responsibilities as freedoms, emphasizing collective ownership. So think about that. So many people that own dogs and go broke or go in debt or spend tons of money on their dog when they have unpaid bills and stuff like that. They think of that as freedom. I got this kind of dog. I got that kind of dog. I can do what I want because I got a dog by my side. Nope. You just have a bunch of duties and responsibilities. Duties and responsibilities. That's what a dog is all about. It's about duties and responsibilities, spending your money on what the framework of dog ownership tells you to spend your money on. So this isn't all about America, fuck yeah. This is about America. I'm gonna own a dog and be broke. Yeah. And while we're talking about USA and capitalism and all that kind of stuff in relation to dog culture, people are going to blame this on capitalism. They're going to say that there's no way this has to do with Marxism because America isn't a Marxist country and we're full of dogs. Like, that's just a logical fallacy way to look at this. So we have to look back. Marxist policies and also communist and socialist policies, they've incorporated elements of capitalism to achieve their goals. So of course they're going to use capitalism when they use dogs as a leverage against our decision making and stuff. I mean, you have to spend all this money on your dog, right? So people think it's capitalism. Oh, people can make a profit off dogs. That's why dogs exist. It's because of the profit. Yeah, those damn capitalists. Yeah. That's what a lot of people say. But you don't realize what's behind all the money you spend. What is behind all those profits? That's your decisions on where to spend your money and time. So it's not just about getting profit in capitalism. It's about controlling a huge portion of your life by making you spend money on what they tell you to, which means you're going to spend time on what they tell you to and other stuff like that. So I just wanted to remind everybody as part of this conversation that read this right here. They've incorporated capitalism to achieve their goals. Of course they're gonna do that. So back to our main topic. Does dog culture break up the traditional family, like Marxists and socialists? Well, for one thing, dog owning parents teach kids to respect dogs. That's a big part of this. Teaching kids to respect a dog, not to respect a philosopher or a book or their favorite worker down at the factory or an inspiring person that they read about in history. Nope. They're teaching kids to suppress their play time and fun time, suppress their exuberance so that mommy and daddy's dog doesn't get triggered. It's the appease the abuser mentality with all this. All you got to do is go on YouTube and find some of these videos. Parents let their dogs, hump the kids or knock the kids into the concrete, and then they'll say, "Oh, the kids need to respect the dog." Yeah, that breaks up the family structure. It teaches kids that they're supposed to respect a dog, not like one of their revered uncles that served in the military or something. And so this type of behavior is not healthy. So it's not healthy to give respect to those who consistently violate your boundaries. What creature consistently violates our boundaries? That's the dog. Just look up some Caesar Milan videos or It's Me or the Dog videos, or just videos from parents that own dogs. They constantly allow their dogs up on the table, in the child's bed, in the child's crib, giving the child's food to the dog, always violating boundaries. And then you teach your children that that's okay. That's very unhealthy. That means out in society, they're going to let humans violate their boundaries and be victims of abuse and depression and stuff. And that's one of the things we see a lot of in our society. So, what is another thing that really messes up the family? That's losing a family member right here, losing a family member. So, look at some of the things that this can cause. Each person grieves differently, and that can create misunderstandings and strain relationships. Um, Potential conflicts, as mentioned right here, potential conflicts. So when somebody dies in your family, sometimes it's like, well, it was this person's fault, it was that person's fault. We should have called 911 sooner. We should have talked to the counselor sooner. We should have let them do those things they wanted to do before they die. There's always challenges and family estrangement when stuff like this happens. And this happens from, first off, dogs killing people. Household dogs kill people. And also, dogs kill each other. So in our modern society, we see dogs as family members, right? And dogs, first off, they die more often than humans. They kill each other all the time, and they kill humans. So we're getting pounded with this grief, this loss of a family member, and that screws up our ability to be good family members to the ones that are alive. And it's all because of dog ownership. So let's look at some examples of what I'm talking about. So, for example, in California, dog bites are on the rise. So it says here, with the state reporting the highest number of dog bites in 2022, California had 48,596 dog bites, serious enough to require emergency room visits. So that's what I'm talking about. Dog attacks are on the rise, which means stress for the family members. If your family member is in the emergency room, that's not helping the family be strong and productive. Okay, now we're looking at a little summary from toddlers being killed by pit bulls. So in 2025, we got a record number of this happening with children and infants. These events have led to increased calls for stricter dog regulations, blah, blah, blah. But think about that. You're a dad, a mom, maybe you're the babysitter, maybe you're, the big sister of one of these poor kids that gets killed. That's screwing you up. That's messing your family up. That's grief and loss of a family member. Like we looked at in our last slide, that's tearing these families apart. All because a mangy, stupid dog killed their toddler or maimed them. I mean, they don't have to completely die for this to affect the family in a bad way. The maimings are very high as well. And of course, there is just the stress between, married couples or boyfriends and girlfriends. You can find hundreds and thousands of articles like this one. This one is from Theravive. It's a place you go to get therapy. And one of the therapies that you can pay for is this right here. Disagreements about pets. So these right here are some of the things that couples commonly deal with that you can go pay for therapy to get. So it creates this whole sub-economy. It's kind of like I said before, they use capitalism too. Because as you fight about your dog, they're just going to get you to pay more money to go to a therapist instead of get rid of your dog. But it's like it says right here, one partner spending more time with a pet. I mean, on and on and on. People are constantly arguing about pets or having family disputes over the dog. So that's breaking up the family structure, just like with the goals of the Marxist. So I mentioned, losing a family member is bad for the family, right? Well, humans get killed by dogs, but also, as we see right here, it's not uncommon for pet dogs to be killed by other dogs, especially in multi dog households. So this can happen right in people's houses. You got a little spoiled dog, tries to steal dog from the bigger dog. Next thing you know, you got a dead dog or a several $1,000 vet bill, which is another thing that when this happens, now the husband and wife, now they're going to argue over the vet bill too, because a dog is dead or severely injured from the other dog, and they got to decide whether or not to spend $10,000 to keep the damn thing alive. So it's like a double punch on the family stress with all this stuff. And like I briefly mentioned before, this is well studied and documented, but dog owners experience grief after a loss of their pet. So overall, dog ownership in our society is making people experience the loss of a family member at this crazy, insane rate, because dogs die quicker than humans. Dogs kill other dogs. So we got a nation full of grief sufferers, all because of this dog worship. And what does grief do to the family? Yep, tears it apart. Estranged family members are one of the new epidemics in America, too, even though we have all these dogs. Yep. And you don't even have to look as deep as I'm showing you today. It's not really rocket appliances here, guys. Dog ownership can have negative effects on families such as stress, financial burdens, emotional challenges related to caring for a pet. Yeah. Families have often arguments over dogs. Like I said, the financial ones, and then whatever problem that a dog has, it usually generates a new problem. If you get a dog and that dog has a fight with your other dog, now the family members are going to be at odds with each other. And then the vet bill comes, then you're going to be at odds with each other too, because that's money that's supposed to go to your vacation or your children's college or whatever. And you're going to spend it on a ridiculous dog that's supposed to be your best friend, but actually killed and maimed your other dog. Yeah, freaking ridiculous. And honestly, just the stupidest thing that you could do. And the downstream effects of all this dog worship, being wrapped up financially and emotionally into your dog, thinking your dog is better than the other humans. Well, in America, many families prioritize their pets' well-being over their own, which means they're going to prioritize their dog over themselves and every frickin' buddy else. If they think something's going to help their dog, but it's going to harm or injure or take away the benefits of someone else, they're not going to give one shit about it, because they've already classified themselves as low value versus their dog. So of course they're going to classify their family members and stuff like that. Yeah, 70% of pet owners take better care of their pets than themselves. Yeah, wow. Yeah, so no wonder the families break up, because you, as a family member, you're just 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 notches down below the dog. And so having a relationship with the family member, they don't care about that. They would rather go do that relationship with the dog. So now let's get our thinking caps on. So Marxist regimes aimed to replace traditional family duties with state responsibilities. So think about that in the terms of dog culture. Instead of taking care of your family, emotionally, financially, and all the other stuff, what do? You do state responsibilities, because the state and the government largely pushes dog ownership through celebrities, through advertising, through the free advertising that dog owners give to dog culture when they're out there on social media. So this is very much like Marxism. Instead of putting money into a human that can give back to society and have real private property, they want you to have a dog, and that dog is going to lock you into responsibilities that largely serve the state, not necessarily your fellow humans. And again, this is hidden within capitalism. So as I'm showing you right here, most dogs are considered private property, right? But that's right now where the people that are pro-Marxist are going to say, see, dogs are private property, and Marxists wanted to get rid of private property. Well, they did get rid of private property with dogs. They just still call dogs private property. Dogs are community property. Every bullshit problem that a dog brings to society, you have to pay for. Like, for example, barking, you got to buy earplugs. Barking, you got to buy an anti-dog barking device to hang on your property, right? All the crap that dogs bring to society, the dog owners themselves don't necessarily handle. We handle it like in a socialist environment. Everybody has to deal with the nastiness of dog culture. Even though the dog is private property, we still have to hear the thing bark. We still have to suffer dog attacks. We still have to, dispatch police to handle dogs. So even though dogs are private property, dogs create this everybody has to pay for it thing in society, much like Marxism. So in dog culture, just like in Marxism, we also have these things called informants being used as a maintaining control. So what happens if you don't support dog culture like everybody else does? What if you mention something on Facebook about barking or something like that? The informants, aka the other dog worshippers, they'll tell on you. They'll call you an animal hater. Oh yeah. What happens if you leave your dog out and it happens to be cold outside or hot outside? What happens if you drive your dog somewhere in the back of a truck and it happens to be really cold that day? Yep, they'll tell on you, they'll tattletale on you. You're a dog abuser, you're a dog hater. Even though right in their communities there will be 400 hoarded dogs in somebody's basement, they will still do this thing of informants. They'll frickin' tattletale on your ass if you're not pulling the weight of dog culture. So yeah, just like Marxism, again, just like dog culture. And Marxists used citizens to spread propaganda. How do dog owners spread propaganda? So dog owners will have tons and tons of problem with their dog, barking, running away, fighting other dogs, huge vet bills. But what will dog owners do? They'll be up on Facebook, social media, the forums, talking about how precious their beautiful angel is. Oh, he did shit on the carpet and chew my couch up, but he's just correcting me for getting home late. Oh, they will blabber, blabber, blabber on and on about how great their life is with their dog. Every picture they have will be something with their dog, even if they're like cooking. Look at this, he's helping me make food. No, he's sitting there begging. But yeah, every dog owner out there, they maximize this whole persona of their life is great. And it's just like with Marxism. Historically, they use citizens to spread propaganda, to promote their ideology and support for their political goals, even participating in revolutionary activities. Revolutionary activities, that's like the free puppy events at the parking lot and stuff like that. Oh yeah. So, for example, the government supports animal welfare initiatives. So the government benefits from us being controlled by our dog worship. So yeah, this is definitely connected to the government in so many ways. So, like with the propaganda in our previous slide, all of those people that are running around with their dogs, basically they're telling you to do this. They're telling you to get these grants and be parts of legislation protected at animals and promoting welfare. So even the legislators themselves, they see us out there worshiping our dogs. So they know they can sign a big spending bill that's going to include a few dog parks, and they can keep some of that money for themselves too. There's several spending bills that came through the Senate and that had dog parks in them. Like, you would be surprised at how these spending bills just basically give free money to dogs. But you got to remember also, it's just a way for them to take tax money from you via all that other stuff, which means you got less tax money to spend on your family, breaking up the family. And so, last but not least for today's video, Marxist regimes typically discourage individual investments. So, for example, your family can be an investment. You can get a used car for your uncle and he can do DoorDash, right? You could get a mountain bike rack for your son so he can carry mountain bikes on his truck and go do some cool mountain bike rides. That's like investment. But Marxist regimes did not encourage investments. And so think about how we encourage dog ownership in the government and celebrities and everything else. That is not an investment. It's a long-term liability to the state. It's a long-term liability to all the things out there that tell you you need to spend money on dogs. And so, they encourage collectivized ownership. Collectivized ownership is dog culture because we all have to be part of it. We all have to take second place to other people's dogs. We all have to give up our quiet and our peace and our clean water to dog barking and dog shit. So yeah, it's collectivized ownership. And it's crazy because so many people could, instead of getting a dog, invest some money in something. But when you go get a dog, they don't tell you about that. And that's one of the ways that, just like it says right here, Marxist regimes discourage individual investments. So does dog culture. It encourages us to buy an expense and a liability that locks us in to a total predictable form of behavior just because we own dogs. And they know that our money won't be invested. Our money will be just poured in to keeping a dog alive. And a lot of that money that we spend keeping the dog alive doesn't necessarily actually go to dogs. Like with the spending bills, they collect all that money for quote unquote, animal welfare, but a lot of it just goes to them. It goes to their own wallets and stuff like that. So yeah, that has been our look at how dog culture is a lot like Marxism. Don't forget to check the description. All these sources and more will be down there. Thanks for watching. See you guys later.